Welcome to the next mini lesson. This one's on construction spaces. So from your role space, you can choose your author space. And if you recall, from the very beginning, your construction space is divvied up into two parts, your published and your unpublished. Okay? Anything that you publish, other courses can gain access to. Anything that's not published, they can't. You can typically see right here on the status if something is unpublished with this little pink bar and the unpublished. Okay, now once you publish something, it is absolutely permanent in your construction space. So you cannot rename it, you cannot move it, you can't delete it, nothing. So it's really important from the very beginning to keep everything very organized. Use as many nested folders as you want to keep it organized. As you can see, mine is not very nice at all, and I regret it. But now it's permanent, so I can't change it at all. Okay, so there's your warning. Okay, so you can navigate this just like any other system of folders. So we can go into test folder. Um, so there's three different areas. Let's focus on the right. You can create new and lots of stuff. The main two that you're going to use is a new subdirectory that's just making a new folder, or making a new problem. Okay, so first let's make a new subdirectory. I'll just call it tutorial folder. Yes. Okay. So here you can see I'm in my construction space. Um, and this is the sequence of folders that we're in. So you can see exactly where you are. Okay, so now let's create a new problem. And, okay, let's call it that. Say continue. Now when you do that, okay, so notice here's our address again. We've got this problem that we just created. There's lots of different types of problems that you can make. Um, and all of these are templates that you can start out with. So the most common ones that you'll be using is you can use a math response using R. So you can implement R code or Maxima, which is helpful if you need to do calculus-based problems or things like that. You can do multiple choice. That's what this radio button response is. True or false, or matching, or numerical response. That's probably going to be the most common one you'll use. But lots of other stuff on here that you can use. And even an essay response. So if you're using a course evaluation, you want open responses, you can use that. Okay. I'm going to start with a blank problem. So I'm not going to start out with any of these automatic templates. And that way we can see just how to build your problem from scratch. Okay. So once you've selected your initial template, or in this case, lack of a template, just go down here, bottom left corner, hit create problem, and you're taken to this screen. So lots of stuff to look at first, but the two things I want you to pay attention to are edit and edit XML. So when you're writing your problem, there's two different ways to do it. One is to use XML directly. Just type in direct code. Okay. So you go here and notice there's really nothing here. But whatever code you are going to do, all has to be in between the problem and the slash problem. Okay. The other way to do it, and this will probably be how you're going to get started, is to do the edit, where there's a nice user interface for you to create your problems. Eventually, you'll get used to the code, learning the XML, and you won't need this. It can be a lot faster to use directly XML. You can copy and paste code as much as you want, or just make it a lot more flexible going directly with the code. Okay, so since we started with a blank problem, there's nothing here. There's only one thing that I can insert something. Okay, so you hit insert, and there's lots of different things that you can insert. Main ones being you know, things to do with problem parts. There are different types of problems you can throw in here, and there are text box. Okay, so let's just assume from the very beginning that we're going to make a multi-part problem. So we're going to make a problem part. if you aren't doing a multi-part problem, just skip this step. It'll be fine. Okay? So anytime you make any changes in any of these boxes on this interface, you always hit save and edit to make, that was weird, make any changes. Okay? So notice you've got your problem part, and everything in the shaded region corresponds to that problem part. Anything outside is completely independent. Um, okay? So let's give it a part ID. Okay? And then let's insert something. Okay? So for instance, I need to actually write the question that the students will see. So I'll stick in a text block, save and edit to change things. So notice it saved my part ID, and now I have this text block. Maybe I'll give those students a really tough question. Okay, and I'll save that. Okay. And so you can see what it looks like so far. We haven't really done anything. So notice there's not even anything that they can respond to, because all I've done is a text. I haven't actually stuck in there. Oops, habit. I haven't even stuck in actual problem. Okay. So notice now I've got 4 inserts. Okay, this top one and the bottom one is if I want something completely independent of the part, and this one is if I'm sticking something inside of this part. And which one of the two I use, or which one of these two I use, just depends on whether I want it on top or bottom. It's just an order thing. Okay, so below the question is where I want the problem. So let's just do a numerical response. Okay, hit save and edit and see what happens. Okay, so I've got my text box in part A, and I've got all this junk. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is put in the correct answer. Now notice there's this thing that says incorrect answers, and that is only applicable here for when you're putting a problem in exam mode, and you do that within your course. If you remember in parameters, you can set the question type as an exam. So basically when you say that you want a problem to be an exam, then it changes everything into multiple choice. So so you have to give it some options um, that are wrong. Okay, and it's always better to go overboard and put too many than not enough. How many you'll need just depends on several things. You can set a parameter for it, or it'll depend on what Scantron you're telling Lon-Capa you're going to be using, whatever. Um, so here you can specify units if you want, kilograms or meters per second. You can even do meters per second squared, something like that. Okay. Format, you can do something like 2F or 3F. That seems really weird, but what it is just telling you how many numbers to the right of the decimal point do you want. Okay. And if you forget that, which you will, because who remembers 2F or 3F until you've done it a whole lot of times, you can hit that little help thing, and you can see. Okay. So I could also insert stuff, but I'm not going to, because the template gives you most of the things you need. Okay, so next thing, you've got 2 parameters here. The second one is significant figures, and as statisticians, we don't give, well, we just don't care about significant figures, so I'll delete that. The first parameter you see is tolerance. So you almost always want that because, especially if it's you know, like a z-score or p-value, something like that, you know, students will not get it exactly right. It'll be very close. So you want some sort of tolerance on it, and you can set that to be whatever you want. Okay. So let's say just 4%, whatever. Hit save and edit, so it saves our changes. All right. So I've got all those bad answers. The correct answer, I've got 1 parameter now because I deleted the second one, and I changed the tolerance on it. All right, the single line text entry, I'm just going to go ahead and delete that too. You don't want that. Maybe I won't. All right, I'm still not going to use it. Okay, so the other thing to notice is that there's this hint. Okay, so everything in this blue box corresponds to the hint. Okay, So if I don't want a hint, I could just delete it, but let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to throw in here is a numerical hint condition. Okay, so let's hit save and edit, come to the top. So now I've got a numerical hint condition. And basically that says if a student types in, what was the original question? 5 plus 5. Maybe they saw 5 times 5. Maybe if they type in 25, um, and again you can put the meters per second squared or whatever it was there if you wanted it. Um, if they type that in, it'll give them this little hint. Okay. So, now, okay, so in this particular context, we've got a numerical response and then it's numerical hint condition. I found that no matter what you do here, uh, it'll still give this little hint if you get the answer wrong. So let's do save and view this time around. So 5 plus 5. If I hit 25, submit answer. Incorrect. And I get my hint. Very nice. Okay. Um, Now let's suppose, uh, you know, I want to reset the submissions because I want to see, well, if I type in, say, 11, hit submit, is that hint there because I typed in 11 or is that hint there because I typed in 11? So, or 25 the time before. So I want to reset submissions. Here's where you can look at these buttons and see what you can do. And there is a reset submissions button there. Okay, so your choice goes back to 0. Now I can hit 10. Submit answer. Hurrah. I can add. Okay. So another thing that is very nice in here, as long as I'm talking about the buttons, is that a lot of times you got many parts or a table with tons of um, different answers they need to input. It's a lot easier to check your work when you're writing this problem, make sure everything's right, um, to have the answer already there. So here you go to problem status, show answer, and change view. And there you go. Okay. And now you want to go back to testing different answers. You can hit answerable, change view again, and there. Okay. If you do randomization, you can always hit that button. We won't cover that in this mini lesson. That'll be the next one. Okay. So now let's go back. Well, first we can take a look at the XML code. So you see now instead of just problem slash problem, I've got all this mess in the middle. So here starts the part and here ends the part. Here is my text box. Here is what begins my numerical response. I have my correct and my incorrect answers. Um, this is what ends the numerical response. Okay. Here is that parameter for tolerance that we set. And all this mess is the hint group. Okay. So notice I could also go to edit and do all that again if I wanted another one, but it would be a lot easier just to copy and paste. I have to give it a new ID. That's fine. Now maybe I'll do that. And of course now, there. Okay. Save and view. So notice that was a lot quicker than going through edit and doing all that again. Okay. 20, 10. And also, since I did make a separate part, I've got two different submits, so I can do them individually if I wanted. Oops. Okay. Fine. Okay, so if ever you do something you don't want, you can always go back and just hit undo, and it'll do the last thing. It'll go back to 2 saves ago. So here we are back with the original. Just one problem. Okay, let's go to edit and let me do one more for you. So I could either stick in a new part here at the top or right here at the bottom. I'll just do the top. Okay, so problem part, save and edit. Okay, And here I need to insert a text box so I can write the question. And I also want to insert a response selecting from options. Okay, so we can see what that looks like. All right, bunch of error, but fear not, it's okay. We'll fix everything. It just gives these errors because we haven't really written the question yet. Okay, so all right, so I'm just going to delete that. I don't really care about it. Uh, so here, what we're going to do is add some options. Um, you have to add them, as far as I know, one at a time. I rarely use edit, so I'm not a complete expert, but um, so I'm adding different options and hitting save and edit every time that I change something here on add new option. But now you see if I want to delete an option, you can see which options I have, or you can just see what's available, the checkbox options. Okay, so I've got one foil, and you'll see in a minute what that means. Okay, so I'm going to give it a name. You have to do that. What are my options again? Okay, I'll give it this. And typically for this type of question, this is why I deleted the original text box, because you're adding a text box for each foil. Uh, so maybe I'll do this. Okay, so I'll do save and view now. Notice all my error messages have gone away because I put in answers. And this is what it looks like. This is one foil, this line. Okay, now I'll add a second and a third foil so you can see what that means. So notice you can do whatever you want. You see those three options that I stuck in there. Okay, fine. Okay. If you look at the code for it, so here I've done part. Oh, it looks like I forgot to give it an ID number. So I'll do that here. ID equals B. Okay. Or I can name it something or other, just so you'll see where it pops up in the edit interface. Okay, so you've got all of this code. Here's our one foil. Um, here's a hint that I haven't really messed with. Um, so we can save and view, and then go to edit. So notice that now my part ID is something or other, which is stupid, so I'll call it B. So I can do several things now, one of which is adding another option response on top or an option response on bottom. Oops, right here. So I'll do it on bottom, hit save and edit. Okay, so it's still working. It's still within this orange box, so it's still running off of the same options, 4, 5, and 6. So maybe now I'll do, this. Okay, and now of course I want 5. And I have to give it a name, full 2 now. Okay, save and view. Fantastic. All right. Now notice you can see it two places. You can see here, randomize full order, yes or no. I'll say yes. Here I can put the location of each individual foil, random, or if I've got many, many foils and I want to make sure one's on top and one's on bottom, I can do that. And so since that's the case, you can hit new randomization, and you know, so sometimes they'll be on one way, and other times they'll be the other way. You can get rid of that by saying no here as well. Okay. So notice now it's here, and I'll change it back to yes, just to be capricious. Okay, there's also a hint. I don't want a hint because we already went through a hint. All right, there you go. there's your intro to construction space, and next time we'll talk about how to randomize things.